Da-dun, 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 da-da-dun, da-dun, da-dun. Mandalorian Season 3 came out and went, and Hekate Media is here to talk about it. However long ago it's been since it was released. The important part is we watched it and are here to talk about it with you, dear viewer. So, put your helmets on and board your Naboo starfighters because this is the way to the Mandalorian Season 3 talk. So, let's get to talking about the characters we are all so familiar with at this point. First, we obviously have Din Djarin, aka Mando, aka the protagonist of this show and this season. Please keep that in mind. He's a bounty hunter from a clan of old-fashioned Mandalorians who believe in ancient customs like never having your helmet removed to show your face to other people, or having to bathe in a body of water called the Living Waters, all while wearing full armor and, most importantly, the mask. And that's what he sets off to do in this season in order to redeem himself from the sin of showing his face to Baby Yoda, Grogu, and others. But mostly Baby Yoda. Grogu. Boy, I wonder how long they took to come up with that name. Anyway, that's kind of all he gets up to in this season that has him as the focus. The rest of the time he helps Bo-Katan ascend from failed idealistic queen to a proper queen that's accepted by everyone. He goes the whole season without taking his mask off this time. Amazing! He finally actually followed the rules of his creed, or at least for the audience, since the other times he removed them was when he was mortally wounded and when he was saying goodbye to Grogu. You know what could have been cool? If the audience never saw his face until he revealed it to Grogu. That would have been a really emotional moment for both the audience and Grogu. But then again, it worked the best way it could have, right? Because long-term planning in these projects is always evidently present, especially when it comes to individual arcs, and it all falls under the grand design. Oh, sorry, this is Star Wars. It's like poetry. It rhymes. He also had the issue of owning the Darksaber and having to lose it in a fight in order for it to not belong to him anymore. And Bo-Katan needed it to become the Queen of Mandalore. But they took care of that. He didn't fight her. He owed it to her because she saved his life from a creature that captured him. Well, that's enough conflict of interest, isn't it? Great. So what about the whole thing about the Darksaber being too heavy for him? What did it mean? Never mind. It's best you forget it. That storyline wasn't going anywhere anyway. He still carries the show even though the main objective isn't related to him anymore. It's Bo-Katan's mission this time. Nothing really new is added about him, and he's just living his life doing Mandalorian things now. Then we have Grogu, the main draw of the show. He's actually just kind of in it this time. As usual, I expected all the girls watching him this season to go like, "Aww," whenever he did something, but it doesn't look like they did. This time it was the characters in the show fawning all over him, like Lizzo. I honestly don't get this. Why did it look like she was dressed up as a Disney princess to fulfill a childhood dream of hers of being one? And being a Star Wars character at the same time. Whatever, it fit the style of the episode she was in, I think. It's nothing that should keep you up at night. Grogu doesn't add absolutely anything to the show this season. He's just there because he was there before and is a fan favorite. And now we have Bo-Katan Kryze, or Kryze. I don't know how to pronounce it. No, she's good. She's really good. She's really, really, really good. Sorry, where was I? Ah, yes. She's a character who survived the Clone Wars and the Purge of Mandalore, much like a lot of the characters here. The only thing is she's had a major part to play on screen. I don't know how old she was during the Clone Wars, but she should definitely not look this young at this point in the timeline. But then again, I'm not one to judge. She's motivated, driven, fierce, and a fighting warrior. She embodies the true spirit of a Mandalorian. Heck, all of them do, but she is a highlight because, well, she's a main character. She always wanted to return to Mandalore and have it return to its warrior ways. But it seems that even after she took control of the planet after her sister's death, she couldn't hold on to it and try to reclaim it after losing it. Now, instead of going about it from an opposition's viewpoint, we follow her as the protagonist. It's a really interesting parallel from what we were introduced to. She's actually written very well, too, and doesn't have moments where we have to suspend our disbelief because it's Star Wars. And that goes for all the characters in the live action shows. See? Your character doesn't have to win at everything all the time, with their only flaw being that they're too powerful or that they care too much. You hear that, modern writers? Anyway, we get to really root for her this time around, and I think she has come a long way from what she started off as. So, let's get to the bad guy of the show, Moff Gideon. I don't even know what's up with this guy, but I like him. He's a former Imperial Grand Moff, whatever that means. He was known for his cruelty and tactics, but these days he's known as the guy who gets stopped at the end of every season. This time, his plot is actually revealed, and it turns out this whole time he was trying to create Force-sensitive clones so that he can take over everything. These clones were of him. He just wanted to clone himself. That's why he needed Grogu. Cool. So you weren't setting up Snoke for the sequels? The truth is that you wanted Gideon to be serving himself in the name of the Empire? Snap, you got some people good, Jon Favreau. I've got to hand it to you. There isn't much added to him this season. He's still a cold, calculating, sinister man who seems to evade death no matter what happens to him, but I'm sure he's dead this time. We also have baddies like Elia Kane, the Imperial Communications Officer who was secretly working to take down the Republic and got a reformed Imperial scientist captured. That subplot is weird and out of place since the show is called The Mandalorian and not The Republic or whatever, but it doesn't matter anymore as long as fans like it or if Lucasfilm deems it necessary. They don't really care what Hekate Media had to say about it. Either way, it looks like it's building up to something big, which will take place either in the Dave Filoni movie or the next season of The Mandalorian. Now we have my favorite character in the show, Axe Woves. I don't know what it is exactly about him, but his style and his mannerism really got me hooked. I like the way he carries himself and the way he talks. It's so smooth, so suave. He reminds me of Count Dooku for some reason. I don't know why. He's a charismatic guy, and I think some of the Mandalorians were right to follow him over Bo-Katan. Unfortunately, he's not the main character, so he had to lose control over his faction and give it up to Bo. He's slick, he's chilled, he's laid back, but will get his hands dirty if you provoke him. He's got style. So, now that we've gone over the characters, let's get to the show. We see Mando go through less formulaic adventures this season, and we have less guest appearances from the Clone Wars characters this time around. Thank the Force. We don't need a cameo of the week. Star Wars TV shows have just been reduced to fan service requests. I'm glad some originality is coming back to it. Unfortunately, the fan base thinks that it is a step down from the previous season. I just think that it has found its own identity, but is still clinging on to something of an MCU formula, where it works on setting things up instead of telling its own story fully, with bits and pieces that can be picked up later. I understand fans complain that Din doesn't get much attention in this season, but he's still the main character. In fact, he guides Bo-Katan, and is teaching her how to get things done. He's still headlining things. It's just that this time he isn't after anything, so he won't exactly be proactive. His story basically finished in season 2. Or it could have continued, but without Grogu. I feel like bringing Grogu back held back his potential this season. This season could have focused on Din on his own, going back to bounty hunting or just rejoining his creed while Grogu trains with Luke as a Jedi. Anybody else find it weird how Luke apparently took 2 years to tell Grogu about Yoda? Yeah, I smell something funny going on behind the scenes. Anyway, the season is a lot more focused on showing and teaching us the Mandalorian way of doing things, and my favorite part about it is that it actually got me excited, unlike season 2, where pretty much every episode had me picture fans go like,
"Whoa, whoa. Here I come. Oh, here I come. Oh."
We're getting Mandalorians? Dang! Then why not show Bo-Katan? She's a Mandalorian. Okay, guys.
Well.
Hey, we want Bo-Katan to be played by Katie Sackhoff. Really?
Well.
You know what? We're gonna go to this planet mentioned in Dawn of the Jedi, that non-canon book back from before Disney bought Lucasfilm. Tygon.
"Whoa, whoa. Here I come. Oh, here I come. Oh."
But not to worry, it's nothing like what was described. It's just the name that's supposed to impress you. And you know what else? There's an episode called The Jedi. I will direct it. So, you're gonna have to put Ahsoka in it, or Luke. You know what's gonna happen there? What? Boom!
"Whoa, whoa. Here I come. Oh, here I come. Oh."
Well, we want Rosario Dawson to play Ahsoka. Boom! But then again, it's not over. She's looking for Thrawn.
"Whoa, whoa. Here I come. Oh, here I come. Oh."
Yeah, well, now we're gonna continue looking for a Jedi teacher for Grogu, and this will probably be resolved in the finale. Please let it be Luke. Boom!
"Whoa, whoa. Here I come. Oh, here I come. Oh."
Don't be surprised if fans call it the best season of Mandalorian. They got everything they wanted, the way they wanted it, and now their expectations have been warped because they feel entitled to creative decisions within the story, and they didn't have any for this season, and that was a problem. Anyway, the season did have some issues. It derailed in some episodes which didn't relate to the plot at all, which is a shame since it's a short season. Plus, the absence of Leia is weird considering you're talking about Republic politics and she's a politician and a general. But hey, I'm not touching on that as much as I should. But you should at least acknowledge that she exists. I like how they showed that the Republic is still far from perfect, as there's a lot of bureaucracy to get things done, and it allows the Empire to grow again. The acting was good as usual. The best performance for me came from the guy who played Axe Woves. Speaking of which, I don't understand why they filmed this fight with Bo as if it's some ultimate showdown when there was barely any intensity at all. It was kind of weird. Was it bad cinematography or just overacting? I don't know. I'm not a professional filmmaker. I also don't see the point in having made the Darksaber storyline with Din, saying that it was too heavy for him, but it was normal for Bo, and then destroying it without them acknowledging that. I mean, sure, the fans know it, but the characters don't. Well, whatever. It's beyond our control. Let's hope to see more of Din Djarin and his adventures on Disney+, either in the movie or the show. Please like our video, drop comments whether you agree or not, and check out our Facebook, Instagram, and website for some of our other material. See you around.